Yo, what up? It's JSF, and you read the title of this video right. You are not tripping. You read it correctly. How Street Fighter 6 is fixing Mortal Kombat 11. I'm just saying. Now listen to me. Just hear me out. If I would have told you there was a fighting game, right? If I said, hey, there's this fighting game I'm playing, or I want to play that I haven't bought yet. It's got realistic graphics. It's got some kind of meter that generates over time. It's got some kind of a blocking button. It's got some kind of a perfect blocking system, and it's got a super move that you unlock when your health gets low. Now, how many of you guys would think I'm talking about Mortal Kombat? But I'm actually talking about Street Fighter 6. And it's funny because these games are like, I see some similarities in from this and Mortal Kombat 11, but I mean that in the best way because it doesn't seem to have any of the issues that Mortal Kombat 11 has. And like NRS players always say, and a lot of us have always said, this game is one patch away from being great. Oh, if they just did this, it would be great. Like, this shit is almost MK11 without breakaway. Like, that alone would increase, like, the game's just viability in being a real fighting game, and not the Mickey Mouse game we know and love today. So, more things I want to talk about, and why this is even like a thought in my head, maybe is because I play so much MK11. I did so much analysis of the game, so when I see other fighting games, I see like certain qualities. And like I always say, I think Mortal Kombat 11 at its base, it was a good fighting game at one point. And when I look at Street Fighter 6, I don't see Street Fighter 5. It does not seem like Street Fighter 5 to me at all. There is no V system, no V trigger, none of that. Not really any comeback mechanics unless you want to count the super, but we'll get to that. Some of the key differences though that make me excited for Street Fighter 6 and really dislike MK11 is one, you can anti-air in Street Fighter, right? The jumps are naturally more floaty, and characters are designed with, you know, uppercut style moves that are like 3 frames, 4 frames. Can be invincible if you use meters, stuff like that. So anti-airing is built into the Street Fighter franchise. It's never been like, oh, I can't anti-air in this game. And believe it or not, that's a massive issue in MK11, right? You literally just can't do something as simple as anti-air consistently. That won't exist, right? It will not exist. That's a big thing. Another thing is, and I know a lot of people will say, oh, MK11 had great netcode. It had great netcode. Mortal Kombat 11's netcode was terrible. It was not good. There was a lot of shilling, a lot of NRS yes men who were just saying that, and a lot of people who didn't really understand netcode or even play the game pushing that narrative. But as somebody who's played the game online for 3 years, like, just being completely honest, my online experience with Street Fighter 5, and we know Street Fighter 5's netcode was less than stellar. It was not good. I've had a much better experience playing that online than MK11, just being 100% honest. And my internet is great. Now, that's just my personal experience, but the netcode's not great. The matchmaking is not good either. The matchmaking is awful. But we'll get to that when I talked about the rank system. But that is something with Street Fighter 6 that should be different, because even though Street Fighter 5's netcode was bad, a lot of the netcode issues were fixed in Marvel Infinite. The reason nobody talks about that is because Marvel Infinite had a million other issues, and because of that, the game died out quick. But the online was not bad in Marvel Infinite. So that, and Capcom has already said, we're building the rollback for this game from the ground up. We start from scratch. We want to make sure we get it right. So they've said the right things. This remains to be seen, but the idea is the netcode should be better. Another thing that they have is modern and classic controls, right? So something that I used to always say with Mortal Kombat 11, I used to say Mortal Kombat should have auto combos. And people disagreed with me. No, we don't need auto combos. And I was like, no, the game should have auto combos, but they should be easy mode combos. They should not be very rewarding. It should be like, I don't really know how to play fighting games. Let me mash this button and get this little combo. And it won't be something that they can do to beat good players, right? Now, I've made videos about that in the past, so I'm not going to harp on it, but I've explained it better. But my point is, it's literally a mechanic in Street Fighter 6. They've got modern controls, and during modern controls, you can just hold like R2 and press a button 3 times and get an auto combo, right? So they have an easy mode, and the beauty of it is the accessible mode, the easy mode, is separated from like the competitive mode, because apparently, and this is according to Max, when they were playing in modern controls, there was no way to do certain moves. So it's like, you can play on easy controls, but you're playing a different game and you're locked out of learning how to do some of the more difficult things. So if you want to play that move, that's great for fun, for friends, for casuals, but for the competitive serious play, you won't get the easy mode stuff because there's a separate mode for that, which I think is really, really, really cool. Another thing I want to talk about, which it wasn't the end all be all in MK11, but it was definitely a thing, and that's that zoning was pretty strong. And in this game, like fireball spam zoning, characters like Cetrion, right, in MK11, that type of stuff is naturally not as strong in Street Fighter 6 because there's parry. Parry is a universal mechanic. Everybody can parry your fireballs and just gain meter. Like, they can parry your projectiles, your long range moves, as long as they can see the timing, react to the startup, and hit a button, boom, parry. Like, that playstyle is naturally weaker, and it discourages people from wanting to play runaway and throw fireballs and stuff because you're risking like giving them meter and you gaining nothing out of it. So, you know, I mean, with that being the case, I'm sure fireballs are made stronger, but there are ways to just beat them. And you can hold parry in this game. You don't have to just frame parry or whatever. You can literally hold it. But yeah, speaking of parry, speaking of it, when I said this game had a button to block, I was talking about parry, right? In Mortal Kombat, you know, you have a dedicated block button, right? Cool. In this game, you have a dedicated parry button. There might be two buttons together, but I'm sure you can do a macro to have it one button. But the thing is, when you parry, you can hold it like it's a block button, like you're in a stance and you can't move. You can just hold it. Or you can try to perfectly time your parry, which is exactly like flawless blocking. And I believe from what people have been saying, for the people who played it, it seems like it's a 3-frame window to land a perfect parry. So you have 3 frames to do it, which is exactly how flawless blocking works. So if you're used to flawless blocking thing, perfect parrying might not be that hard. If the difference is you have to know exactly what they're gonna do, right? If you know exactly what they're gonna do and when they're gonna do it, then you get rewarded for making that read with a perfect parry. But the difference between this and just a Mortal Kombat block button is parries in this game, not only do they require meter to do, they also can be baited and punished because they have a whiff animation, right? They actually can be punished. They actually have recovery. So if you can do the just frame, you know, the flawless block style parry, you'll be rewarded with a punish. Just like in MK11 most of the time. If you flawless block something, it's much more negative. It's probably punishable. So you'll get rewarded if you do the perfect parry, but if you're just holding it like a block button, cool, you're just blocking. And you don't get a punish, right? So like something that's in this game is like you can just wake up with parry and just parry somebody's meaty. Cool, but you're not gonna get to punish them unless they do something really unsafe. So it's like a refined block button system, which I actually like, because I even made a video saying Mortal Kombat should be back to block, and this game is back to block, right? But it has a feature that kind of works as a block button, and that's kind of what I've always thought it should evolve into is fighting games. I always say the best fighting game is in between Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and like me seeing Street Fighter 6 kind of have some Mortal Kombat 11 isms, but not the bad ones, it makes me really, really excited. Next thing I want to talk about is the super, right? I said the game has a super that gets activated when you have low health. So you can have up to 3 bars of super meter down there for your super arts. When you get to 3, it'll just say you have 3 bars, right? But at the same time, there's also your critical art, which is when you get less than 25%, I believe, according to Maximilian. I don't know the exact health value of it, but when you get lower than 25%, now all of a sudden you have access to your critical art. And your critical art is a powered up version of your super. So it's like you unlock a new super at low health, like a fatal blow, but it still takes your super meter, and it's just a buff on your super. It's not like you don't have it's not like a new mechanic that's finally available. You can still do your level 3 super art without it. So again, it's a very similar to a mechanic in Mortal Kombat 11, but more refined. It looks like more thought was put into it, which is really, really, really dope. The biggest similarity I would say is that this game also has meter that regenerates over time, and you start off with full meter. That was like a huge thing with MK11. It was like, yo, you start with full meter, and it's like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, you start with all your meter. Round start, you can do EX moves and all that shit, and that's how MK11 is. And most fighting games are not like that. You might start with like 1 bar, or you might get a bar for the first hit or something, but you literally start with full EX meter in this game. Now, the difference with it in this game is your EX meter is everything. Now, Mortal Kombat, your meter, your offensive, defensive, whatever you want to call the meter, does other things, like it does cancels, like you break out of combos, stuff like that, right? But in this game, it's not only that, oh, you use it to do EX moves, you use it to do drive impact, to do drive rush, which is a dash cancel. It's also your guard bar. So if you're blocking a lot of moves and just sitting there, oh, I'm gonna just block forever, your meter is gonna deplete. So not only does that put you closer to like being in a burnout state, it also makes it so you can do less things with your meter. So you can't just sit there and block. And that's the other thing. You can't just go crazy with your meter, because if you do go crazy with your meter, you go in burnout state, and in burnout state, you can't do anything. You don't have any meter. And it's a decent period of time where you can't do anything. Like, imagine if there was a meter, like Mortal Kombat 11 does not really have meter management. The meter management is, should I break away right now? Like, in this game, it's like if you're not smart with your meter and you're just doing EX move, EX move, EX move, you're going to go in burnout state. And in burnout state, you can get stunned really easily. And you just are, man, you're in a tough spot, man. To keep it short, it's not where you want to be. So they made the meter system similar, but added drawbacks to it, which is really, really cool. And it doesn't seem like it regenerates super fast. It regenerates if you play the game right? If you parry something, you get meter. If you get your opponent to block something, you get meter. Stuff like that, which is really, really cool. It's just really interesting. I hope they don't change the systems like this too much, because the way they are now seems really interesting, and it would be cool to see how a meta develops around that kind of stuff. Another way you lose your drive meter is if you get punished. So if you do something unsafe, in Street Fighter 6 it'll say punish counter, right? Instead of just saying counter. So it's not a new mechanic. I've seen people say punish counter, new mechanic. It's not a new mechanic. It's just telling you that you got to punish. So if your opponent does something unsafe and you punish them, they lose meter for that too. So something like if you bait your opponent to wake up with EXDP, your drive meter is 6 bars, right? An EX move takes 2 bars. If they wake up with an EXDP, you bait it, make them whiff, punish them, they just lost 3 bars. Possibly more, right? So they got to be really smart with the meter. And I really like that exists in this game. It's not just, oh, I got meter, I'm going crazy. Like, I'm going to do everything. But yeah, the other thing is, and this isn't really a Street Fighter 6 thing, it's just Street Fighter 5, man. The ranked mode of Mortal Kombat 11 was trash. It existed, but it was not good. Combat League is not good. Nobody likes Combat League. And Street Fighter 5 had a much simpler, much easier, much more traditional ranked mode. Not easier, but like, it was designed easier and it worked better, right? So there's no reason Street Fighter 6 should try to reinvent the wheel and make some Combat League style ranked mode. They can just go with what they know and have a good ranked mode. The matchmaking was good too. But yeah, those are like all the similarities and things that I've noticed. The biggest one difference that I've noticed, which is really cool, is identity and aesthetic. Street Fighter 6 has an identity. It has a style it's going for. It has an aesthetic. Like, it looks a certain way. The new characters have a certain energy to them. You know, the background music, you know, the versus screen, the character select screen. It all has, from the graffiti to the hip hop music to the underground warehouse, like, it all has a certain feel and a certain vibe to it. And that's something that NRS kind of always misses the mark with. Because like in MK11 or any other NRS game, it's just like, oh, here's the generic menu screen with the generic background music, with the generic, like, they don't put any style into it. The character select screen, they might put a little flair into, but that's it. And it's like, it's not a bad thing. It's just like a missed opportunity to kind of show out. And Street Fighter 6 seems to really understand that. But yeah, man, that's all I got. I was just watching all the Street Fighter footage that came out. Street Fighter 6 footage, and was thinking like, man, this game looks like the game I want to play. It looks like it has some Street Fighter qualities to it, but it's not Street Fighter 5. It looks like it has some MK11 qualities, but it fixed them up. Like, it fixed up the issues. Like, what if there was an MK11 game, but Fatal Blow still costed meter, right? But there was no breakaway, right? But there's like stuff like that, but you get anti-air. I think if you ask anybody who plays MK11, if you said, hey, what if this game had no breakaway? What if you get anti-air? And what if Fatal Blow costed actual meter? Like, there was a meter that it actually spent up. You couldn't just do it over and over again, right? I think they'll be like, damn, I want to play that game. And I think that game is Street Fighter 6. But let me know what y'all think, man. Do y'all agree? Do y'all disagree? Y'all see the similarities and the differences? Are y'all hyped for Street Fighter 6? I just want Mortal Kombat players and MK fans and NRS players to know that, yo, even if NRS doesn't give us a game, there's a game coming out for us. I think Mortal Kombat players might even have an advantage in this game because we're used to fucking blocking with a button. We're used to flawless blocking, so we might have the edge on like perfect parrying and stuff like that. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all today, man. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Y'all leave a like, comment, all that good stuff. Let me know how you feel. And yeah, man, I'm gonna go about my business. JSF, I'm outie. Peace.